Okay, we just might be getting the hang of this. So all four cameras are working today right off the bat, so that's good. I have a standardized script for starting everything. One of those procedures, checklists are what keep airplanes from falling out of the sky, as they say. So I've got a checklist for starting everything up here, and that is starting to get clear and concise, and seems to work every time. So there we go. That's a good thing. Now I just got to learn which camera is currently on, make sure that I look at it straight away. So the question that I'm thinking about today is who is this advice for? And I'm saying this in reference to a number of things that I see on social media. So I'll see a post from somebody that runs a multi-million-dollar company. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, if you're running a multi-million-dollar company, what are you doing on YouTube sharing this advice? Now, it's wonderful that you are, but it's puzzling. And that's what I'm trying to understand. And I think a lot of people get a lot of advice from gurus, and there's a lot of people that starting business, don't have a lot of money, they're bootstrapping, they're starting the business for the wrong reasons. So one of the wrong reasons to start a business is because you don't have any money and you don't have a job, so you've got nothing better to do. So hey, let's start a business. That's a really bad reason to start a business, and so you get stuck in this trap of you're trying to pay your bills, you're trying to get ahead, whatever. And you get on this little rat race, and then you start, okay, maybe there's something wrong, and you start consuming all kinds of information from all the gurus that are out there. And the one thing that I've learned is that the people who learn to market, learn to sell marketing, and it skews heavily in that once somebody has learned how to sell marketing, they kind of forget everything else. And that, I may be tarring everybody with one brush, which is not something that I usually like to do, but it seems that the data skews into the, if I know how to market, I'm going to sell you this how to market thing. I don't know necessarily that what they sell gets the results that they believe they get. Now, if you sell something to 100 people and you get 3 people with spectacular results and you get 3 spectacular testimonials, wonderful. But if you're selling something to 100 people, there's this implication in the legal world that says your toaster has to toast. So if you're selling something to 100 people, then at least 97 of them should be getting those results, not just the top 3. And those top 3 probably would have gotten the results anyway, based on a whole bunch of other factors, whether it has to do with personality, whether it has to do with connection, the market size they already have, and so on and so forth. So there, in other words, there may be a lot of false hope going on here, and that's something I've been struggling to clarify and get better answers for. So that the question is, who is this advice for? And conversely, is this advice for me, or is this advice good for me? So start asking those questions critically of everybody that's selling you stuff, especially when they're very successful, because chances are, if they're very successful and they're bragging about it on various platforms, look at me, buy my stuff, that automatically raises some red flags for me. So you have to ask, what is it that I need at this point in time? And here's an interesting point in human history, because now we have AI. Love it or hate it, it's here. I don't think it's going away anytime soon. There will be AI companies that come and go, and there are many different ways of using it. It is going to be abused no end If we thought social media tied us up in knots, I can guarantee you that what I see coming down the pipe with AI is going to be worse. But you can use AI locally, you can set it up, and there's some technical hurdles with all of that. But you can use your own instance of AI if you want to protect your data. I think that's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out, in that, we're going to have AI appliances before too much longer, where just like we have, file servers and other things that you can plug in at home and ignore the cloud, as they call it. Not saying those are great ideas, because if your home burns down, you lose everything anyway. Whereas with a cloud backup or something to that effect, you've got off-premise storage. So I say, I see we'll be having these devices soon that allow us to do AI on site, AI on our phone, AI on our laptop, and that will be interesting to see where it leads us, because what you can ask AI is, become my business coach. Tell me what I should do. Here's the size of my business. Here's what my clients are like. Here's what I'm up against. What are the three things, and narrow it down. Narrow it down to something very specific. What are the three things that I can do that are going to move the needle? And that's one of the things as a business owner that you've got to learn very fast is pick the top thing, the top three things, pick something and push it through the goalposts. Because if you don't get it through the goalpost, it doesn't matter. And that is something that you see a lot of gurus will advise you on, and correctly, is that figuring out what to do, but then making sure that you do it, showing up, doing the work, pushing something through the goalpost. And I would add celebrating that. That's a mistake that I have made. I have not celebrated anywhere near the wins that I have. It's just, I kind of expect to have the win. I have the win, and then it's just move on to the next one. Your body needs to celebrate every now and then, and pot, kettle black, hello. That's a lesson that I'm learning, but I'm willing to do the build in public thing, and here's the mistakes that I've made. Don't make the same ones if you can. So get the win, push it through the goalpost, and celebrate it. Some people advise collecting a journal of all of these things, so when you look back, you can see here's everything that I've accomplished, right? Because there are going to be days when it's tough, and then there are going to be days when it's really tough, and you want to be able to step back and say, hey, I did it before, I can do it again. Here's the proof that I've done it before. So, maybe keeping a journal. All right. I don't know that I have much more to add on this particular topic, other than to say, use AI to figure out what you should be doing. Use AI to find out whose advice is the advice that applies to you at this time, or which pieces of advice apply to you at this time, and then apply what you've learned. Don't be afraid to go between different AIs, double check them, get a second opinion. That's always a good idea. It's always a good idea to get a second opinion. And then once you have, come to some consensus, some understanding, then execute. And it's always going to feel rough executing. Right now, I feel, a little bit like a fish out of water. I'm struggling here with a whole bunch of things, and I'm trying, in outside I make it go, ooh, cool. Inside I'm going, right? But that's just the way it is. And eventually you get used to it. I'm talking to possibly nobody right now, possibly to hundreds of people later on. There's nobody in the studio. It's quiet. I like working when it's silence like a monk. I love it. But that's not for everybody. Some people like the excitement, whatever. But I've got to be relatively excited while I'm on camera, or else I'll be putting people to sleep, and I don't want to do that. So but it's just a matter of practice, repetition, lather, rinse, repeat. Lather, rinse, improve, repeat. I think that's the key step, is if you're not making an improvement every time you step up to bat, and if you're not paying attention to where the improvement needs to be, then you're just going to go round and round the same hamster wheel all the time. So always lather, rinse, improve, repeat. Okay, so have yourself a wonderful day. I will leave the airwaves now and work on some improvements for the next time. Hopefully I'll get rid of this mic, because this thing makes noise every time I move. I know it's probably annoying the crap out of people. I had this before a long time ago, and that's why I got rid of it. When I brought it back, it came to me straight away. Yeah, this picks up every little movement, so that mic has got to go. I have a better mic, but it requires cabling and wires and all kinds of stuff. But we will get there. Again, it's just progress and improvement every step of the way. So every little thing gets better, and over time, when you start looking back, you think, "Oh, wow, we've come a long way." So hopefully, I will get to that point where somewhere down the line, I will look back and say, "Wow, that sucked, but we've come a long way." All right, so there you go. So have yourself a wonderful day, people.